DC FanDome.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly going to be interesting this time of year.
I was thinking, oh wow, this is going to be so friggin' cool, and then yesterday happened.
Yeah, like what is like? I mean, to be fair, I remember we were talking about this when HBO Max was announced, and that was going to go to like Crave TV and stuff like that. I remember we were kind of discussing like what exactly would happen with DC Universe. We never thought this would happen. We never thought that they would basically gut almost the entire division and pretty much leave it up in the air as to what's happening. I mean, from the sounds of it, the TV shows that were on there are just going to be moved over to HBO Max, which, okay, fine. I'm assuming whatever agreements they had with Netflix, those aren't going to change, unless they're really pushing HBO Max.
Yeah.
Time in Canada, which I mean I know is a little bit different than in the States, but and then all the editorial staff.
Yeah, like a third of the staff were laid off.
To be fair, with some of those editors, like the editor-in-chief in particular, I mean, some of the people that they kept on there for longer than they needed to were problematic writers and artists that had histories where it looked like they were hiding, or at least not necessarily, I'll say condoning any of the Me Too movement and stuff like that. Like Scott LaBelle was one that had a history, and Eddie Berganza, I believe, was another one who was, and they didn't really do much of anything other than just not talk about it and keep them on the payroll, where it's like, no, get them out. It's like I said with the wrestling one. I'm happy that people are talking about all these wrestlers that are doing these horrible things, because it gets them out of the industry and away from these situations, and also doesn't have young people coming up saying, oh, it's okay to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is scary for the state of actual physical comic books. But I mean,
DC has been doing some weird shit all year long, though. I mean, COVID hit and they immediately pulled out from Diamond Distributors. They decided to get their comics distributed through two new companies that were owned by Midtown Comics and Discount Comic Book Service, which means that all comic book retailers, like all small stores, have to buy from their competition to sell, which, like, people were furious. Like, store owners are furious. Gary's not too bad. He was telling me, because we're in Canada, it's a little different, but the American comic stores are fucking pissed about this. So, I mean, that right off the bat, I was like, that's really weird. Like, that is just, that's strange. But then I guess that's Warner wanting to save money or make more money by distributing their own shit. It just seems like it's just like this continuous like domino effect of them knocking down the comic industry, the DC comic industry, more and more and more until I hope it doesn't become non-existent, but I don't know. It's rough, man.
I mean, to be fair, Marvel's not making like smart moves either. Like, they're talking about bringing Hollywood agents in, like Kevin Feige, to oversee the comic line, so that it's literally the comics that you see on the shelves are of the people you see in the movies, and then that's it.
Yeah. That's a horrible idea. That's a horrible idea.
It's absolutely an awful idea. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's a good idea in the sense for the people that don't read comic books, watch the movies, and then say, hey, I want to check out the comic books. But I think devote a line to that. Say, hey, if you like the movies, then you'll like this specific line of comic books.
I'm okay with giving a line. That's fine.
It's like, I understand if you were watching, Captain America, and you're saying, hey, man, these are great. I want to look at the comic books. And then at the time you go, oh, Sam Wilson's Captain America.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess that's cool. It's not what I wanted to read. So, I mean, I can understand that disconnect, but to totally gut the whole lineup just to mirror the movies is crazy. Or just bringing in Hollywood agents like Kevin Feige to actually sit there and say, this is what we're going to do. Just because it translated well in movies doesn't mean it's going to translate in comic books. But I will say this COVID-19 stuff, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say this, I think COVID sped up the process.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because we've been talking, you and I both have been saying for a while now that we don't believe that comic books are physically going to be in our hands 50 years from now. So it's not something that I was like, oh man, it's going to go digital. It's going to go completely digital at some point very soon. I just think like if this sped up the process to the point of like maybe 10 years from now, we would have been saying like, oh, you know what? You can't actually buy a physical comic book anymore. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now we might be at this 4 to 5 year mark where they're just like, you know,
like I honestly think at this point, Warner is going to just make superhero movies, TV shows, games, and that the comics are the last of their concern. Like I was saying to you, like Disney, when they took over Marvel, they took all their young reader lines, all the Marvel hero lines. They had the Spider-Man, the Kitty, all the Kitty looking comics, and they gave it all to IDW. Like IDW is releasing all of those now.
Which I didn't even realize when you told me that. I was like, oh wow, like because you use that as a backup to your idea that that DC or Warner Brothers will outsource their characters. And I thought that's crazy. But then I was like, oh, well, I mean, if Marvel's already doing it, or sorry, Disney's already doing it, then why wouldn't they?
They're saving money, I guess, by getting IDW to release their characters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's really to stop DC from one point going, these are the 5 top characters here. We'll get Boom Studios to make those comics, and DC's dead.
See, I don't know if they'll get to that just yet. I think what they'll do is they'll rebrand it so it'll no longer be DC. It'll just be Batman, and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's literally, I think the DC comic books is comprised of, I think, like 50% Batman and Batman related characters. Like if you count Batman and all the Batman characters. So Batman, Nightwing, Red Hood, Damian's Robin, Harley, and everyone else in between. You probably look at like 50% of the entire book run is just Batman.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
There's so much Batman.
You know? You got a small pocket of Superman only because Bendis is like working his magic, I guess you could say.
You could say it with that face right there.
I've never so quickly turned on a writer, especially one like Bendis, where, like, I mean, this is a guy that wrote one of my favorite Spider-Man runs, okay? This is a guy that, like, reintroduced really cool takes on older characters like Luke Cage and like, the New Avengers was insane. Like there's a lot of good Daredevil, the Daredevil run.
Daredevil, Alias, Miles Morales. This guy like created so much
like
big at Marvel right now.
And yeah, exactly. Miles Morales, like you're just like, man, like, can this guy do anything wrong? And then when he goes over to DC, I was like, oh, we're gonna get some really good Batman. We didn't get any good Batman.
Wrong. He can do wrong.
You know, and then I thought, okay, well, we got Spider-Man or Superman. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, if it's anything remotely close to his Spider-Man, it'll be really good. It is god-awfully terrible. It's like he hates Superman, for one, loves John Kent, wants John Kent to be the main Superman so badly. Oh, I can't do this.
No.
Hates the fact that Superman and Lois Lane are married, even though they just brought them back together.
I can't believe that Bendis and Maleev are working on a Superman comic at DC. It's like,
well, no, they're not working on a Superman comic, but that Leviathan stuff.
Well, they did that stuff, yeah. Whatever it was, Leviathan Rising or something.
Who cares? Honestly, who cares? The whole thing is garbage.
Like Bendis got his start in street level comic books,
right?
Like Goldfish, Jinx, Fortune and Glory, all these amazing indie street level comics that got him into Ultimate Spidey at first.
Well, even
which
Powers
paid
was
off.
street level.
And it's Powers, yeah.
Powers was street level, just more superhero street level, but still.
Yeah,
and then I said, Daredevil was incredible.
Yeah.
That was one of the best runs I've ever read in my entire life. It's so good.
It wasn't until he went on Avengers, the main Avengers title, where I started to like question how great of a writer he was. Because then he did, what was it? New Avengers, Mighty Avengers, Secret Avengers, Dark Avengers. He had all these Avenger titles going at the same time. And it was just, every single book was leading up to a big event in 6 months. This is going to change the Marvel Universe forever. Until 6 months from now, we'll change it again forever. It's just.
But I agree with you. New Avengers was where I started to go, whoa. Because the other part too was that then he definitely shifted to trade paperback writing.
Yes.
So it went from maybe one story's 2 or 3 issues. Another story might be just 2 issues. A big story might be 6 issues, right? Then all of a sudden, everything was 5 issues, 6 issues, and that was it.
It was kind of always like that, though, right? Like right from Ultimate Spidey. I remember Ultimate Spidey had 6-issue arcs. There would be a couple 6-issue arcs, and then he would have a one-shot that focused on something. Issue 1 to 6 told the Goblin story.
That's right.
7 to 12 was Electro. Was that who he focused on after Goblin? I think it was Electro.
I think you might be right. It's been a little while since I've
and number 13 is that amazing one-shot with Mary Jane, which is still one of my favorite comic books of all time to this day.
Yeah, I think it was just New Avengers is where I became more aware of it, actually.
Yeah. New Avengers was rough. It'd
but
be
then again,
2 issues of nothing happening.
So it's 2 issues of literal. It's like watching Dragon Ball Z, the edited version, where it's 3 episodes of Goku just powering up to become a Super Saiyan. And it's just 2 people talking. That's a Bendis book right there. 3 issues of them talking.
Straight.
That's it. And in between, you might see other stuff happening, but the main story is just the 2 of them just talking. And by the 3rd issue, you're like, what the fuck? Just go Super Saiyan already. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like DC FanDome next week, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, I don't know if they're going to really talk much about the comics. I think it's going to be a lot of movie stuff. Zack Snyder's Justice League will be there. Wonder Woman will be there. Rocksteady's going to show off their Suicide Squad. Apparently, WB Montreal is going to be showing off a new Batman game at the same time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about Suicide Squad just yet, in all honesty.
It's a tough call. I don't know.
It is a tough call. Don't get me wrong. The premise is actually kind of cool where you're hunting down Superman, which is wow, okay, all right.
So much everyone was like, Rocksteady, make a Superman game. And their response is to make a game where you go to kill Superman.
It is pretty funny that's their move. But I will need to obviously hear more and see more of that. If Warner Brothers Montreal comes out with a Batman game, that's going to be something that I will definitely perk up for, because Origins was actually a pretty solid game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm not going to watch any sort of spoilers for Zack Snyder's Justice League at all.
No.
I'm already pissed that apparently the Robin that did die is in fact Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson, yep.
So I heard that. I was like, Zach, come on. You had a lot of goodwill with me.
He confirmed that right on his social media account. So which Robin is that?
Didn't
Dick.
even blink. He went, Dick Grayson, I'm out. I was like, man, are you serious? But then again, if any Robin's going to die and make Batman turn into a murderer, it'd be Dick Grayson.
It'd be Dick Grayson. Yeah, 100%.
It wouldn't be Jason Todd. Jason Todd, he'll lose some sleep over it, but he won't start mowing people down with shotguns.
Yeah.
Or driving his Batmobile in such a way that there's no way these people lived through it. As soon as he said Dick Grayson, I was like, fuck you, Zach.
Fucking
Fuck
hate.
you. But at least, this now moving forward, for sure that there is no real continuity in the DC EU. So
Yeah.
at some point, we might see a live action Dick Grayson that isn't on the Titans show.
Well, the Titan show is doing a good job.
It's doing a good job with the characters, not necessarily the stories.
No, season 2 straight up was hard to get through for me. I love season 1. Season 2 was just, I felt like it just kept going. I was like, oh man, they're still fighting Deathstroke.
Actually, I don't know. I like them both about the same because the issues that I have with the first one were changed. It made better in the second one, but the second one also has its own issues where it's just kind of like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I will talk about Titans now that you've watched both seasons. We'll talk about Titans on a future Camcast because I've been itching to do that one for a while. So, but I will say, visually, Nightwing looked awesome.
Yes, visually, when he threw on the Nightwing suit, I was like, yeah, that's badass.
Yeah, it's so badass, but I also love it too when they make fun of it later. When Donna Troy goes like, "What the fuck?" and then he's just like, "Well, you're not gonna make a comment on my suit?" And she's like, "I already did." I was like, that's priceless. But yeah. So needless to say, yeah, I think COVID just sped up the process. I think we're gonna see physical books go away very soon. The outsourcing idea that you have, I think, is interesting. And I mean, to be fair, if it works and you still get comic books and you still get comic books written by people that actually care about the character, maybe not Bendis on a Superman book ever, or maybe have editors that like Dick Grayson instead of Rick Grayson. And Bendis should never touch Tim Drake ever again. Give him a slight costume tweak, change that name. Give me back Tim Drake. Come on, man. Make him Red Robin again. Put Fabian Nicieza on the book and have him write Red Robin forever.
Forever. Until he's not here anymore.
Right.
Right until the deathbed. Keep writing Robin. Keep writing Robin?
No, Red Robin. Red Robin. I'm sorry. That's right. Because Robin now is Damian Wayne, and now the merchandise has changed. So remember Tim Drake's Robin symbol?
Yes.
Iconic. Damian's is now what they use for marketing, and it's not as good. I was this close to buying a replacement wallet because it was a Robin wallet, and I didn't because it was Damian's symbol.
Freaking Damian.
It's not even his fault. It's just marketing, man.
Yep.
Oh, before I forget, because we're on the DC kick.
Yeah.
What is up with this DC interactive movie for Death in the Family?
Isn't that messed?
I spent the first half of the trailer going like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like
Choose Your Own Adventure.
Like Under the Red Hood. I was like, oh, they're doing bits of Under the Red Hood, and the animation is similar, but not quite the same. And they looked like they're trying to get a lot of the same voice work. And then they're like interactive, and I was like, oh, this is stupid. I don't even think they should have called it Death in the Family. They should have just said, Batman, an interactive movie, and left it at that.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, seeing Jason Todd in the red Robin suit with guns, I was like, what the fuck?
Hopefully it's an option. Hopefully you can watch the movie or do the interactive.
Well, I feel like it's like that Netflix Bandersnatch. And what was it? Oh, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt did an interactive one too, but I haven't watched that because I haven't finished Kimmy Schmidt yet.
Yeah.
Which I'm disappointed because I really like that show.